Good evening and welcome to another Unstoppable Overcomer moment. I'm trying not to laugh as I listen to you. Catherine just showed me a cute story before. Well, not cute for her, but she told me a story about what she's been enduring the last couple of weeks, and I feel really bad for her. But with that, we just like to welcome you back to another Monday night. And tonight we're going to be talking about Catherine's story, how she never gives up. You can fall down, but you make sure you get back up. With that, I would normally do an introduction, but who better to introduce yourself than Catherine? So, Catherine, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Dorothy. I'm blessed to be here. It's been wonderful to meet you, to connect with you, and to share my story. My name is Catherine Lazure. I'm the CEO and founder of CL Executive Solutions. We're an online business management firm that helps small business owners with the pitfalls of their business because, if we're honest with ourselves, we're not all great at everything. So we help in some of the areas that maybe you either don't have time to do it, don't want to do it, or don't really necessarily have the knowledge to facilitate it for your business. So we're definitely there. And on the side, I volunteer for our Warm the Heart, which is helping the Greater Toronto area of the homeless community. So that's me in a nutshell.
That is awesome. I forgot all about that was part homeless. Actually, we talked about that. Sorry, a lot's gone on in the last couple of weeks since I've talked to you last, so I'm trying to remember all our conversation. But yeah, that's amazing. That's right. That's what I want to do, something similar to that here in Windsor and eventually globally. I think we should definitely end homelessness globally. All of us put together, I'm sure it can happen. The more hands together, the better. But tell us more about your overcoming story, because I know you have one heck of an overcoming story.
Oh gosh, what part of my life haven't I had to overcome something? Going back, to my childhood, I was only 6 years old when we discovered I needed to wear glasses. And I was in gymnastics and my coach thought she's going to fall off the beam because she has no depth perception. But guess what? I didn't fall off. Just overcame it. You just compensate. You learn. Same when I was running track and field, in grade 5 and 6. How was I able to do hurdles? I just had to remember to lift my back foot a little higher, to make it over and not trip and fall on my face. And I got teased a lot about being enriched or gifted, and everything from my peers. So I would be pulled out. They thought for extra help because I was slacking, but in actual fact, I was published at the age of 12 in a Canadian young writer's poetry book because I was miles ahead of my peers in grade 6. So, grade 7 for me, that awkward stage, I was in modeling and everybody, I was tall, lanky, and everybody thought, I was really snotty, but in actual fact, I really wasn't. I was just trying to fit in. And then I realized that there are just some people you just don't fit in with, and it's better to stand out and be yourself. And my mom, God rest her soul, she always told me that as long as I could look at myself in the mirror and tell myself that I did my best, then that was good enough for her. As long as I was true to myself, that was what was good. So I overcame lots of things. I've overcome, I guess like even after high school, I was 14 when I got my first job. And that's because I was trying to overcome poverty. My parents didn't have a lot of money. And if I wanted to go on a school trip, or if I wanted, to go skating with my friends, as long as my chores, of course, were finished still, then, so I started working at Eaton's. I know that's going to date me a lot. Down in their little hub restaurant. So, but I was always responsible that way. And some of us have overcome different things. Like my childhood was not easy. we had a lot of, family issues. And I was dealing with everything from a stepfather that nothing I ever did was good enough, to, my mother who drank too much. So it was not a happy situation, a happy household. So I overcame the odds by moving out at the age of 17, not dropping out of school,
Wow.
so that I could get my education, still keep my part-time job to support myself, and manage to get my grades back up because they'd faltered from the 90s down to like 60s. And that's when I was hauled into the guidance counselor's office going, all right, spill it. Like, what is going on with you?
Right.
And I managed to pull my grades back up in only 2.5 months before the end of the year. But so, it wasn't easy. I thank very supportive friends that understood, where I was going. A very supportive maternal grandmother that I was very close to that understood why I left and why I had to do what I did. And just having her support just meant so much to me. I was always very close to her. And so, yeah. But from there, I did something silly. Not that I'd ever recommend marrying somebody right out of high school. Don't do it, kids. So especially if you're complete opposites. I know that whole thing, opposites attract. Yes, they do. And the one and only area that we weren't opposite in, I can't say on public, that was gangbusters, but the rest of it, not so much. But the very hardest thing that I still have a hard time even talking about as far as overcoming, and I know that there are others out there that have done it, that have had it happen to them. I lost my mom when I was very young. And I know that there are some out here that are in the same kind of position where you feel lost. And for me, losing her when she was only 41 years old. I'm now 48, so I've now lived on this earth for 7 more years than what my mother did.
Wow.
And when we found out she had cancer, and I know there's so many people that are dealing with different types of cancer in their lives, people they know and love, maybe themselves are dealing with it. It's hard to watch somebody, go through chemo and radiation, and she did all that. But she only lasted 6 weeks, and she went into a coma the morning of my birthday, my 21st birthday.
Wow.
And she passed the next day. And so it's hard for me to even celebrate my birthday, I'll be honest, because this comes flooding back of, losing her.
Right. And sorry for your loss. That at 21, just turning that age and then losing your mom. 3 weeks ago, tomorrow, we lost my dad due to cancer. And like you said, watching them in their last stages is horrific. He had his last immune therapy treatment a week and a little bit before he died. So yeah, going to chemo, radiation, I even forgot about that part of your story till just now. And then when you're telling me, it's like I'm getting chills because, it's like when somebody in your family has cancer, it's like I call them cancer families, because you know what it's like, other people in the waiting room waiting for their loved ones, and you're sharing stories, and it's kind of like a camaraderie, because, you know what it's like to see your mom go through that, or my dad go through that, or there are other people's spouses in the waiting room. And to me, it's just, if you have somebody there with you and, you're sharing stories, it's like, it's like you're one giant big family. And so
it's the CC, it's the cancer community.
There we go.
Yeah. And what was horrible for me was, because I was married young, I then had kids young. And so here I am at 21 with a 2-year-old and a 3-month-old.
Oh,
definitely still needing my mother. So I was very thankful that at least my mother-in-law, stepped in and really helped. My maternal grandmother, who had, of course, just lost her only daughter, her only child, we had always been close, so we became even closer. I said that we called it the 19 curse. My mom was 19 when she had me. I was 19 exactly 2 months before I turned 20 when I had mine. And my youngest daughter also made me a grandmother. She was only 19. And my grandmother was also very young. I
right.
think like early, or like about 21. So here I am at 21, and here my grandma is only in her early 60s, kind of thing. So here she
Right.
was a great grandma, but still very young enough to still really participate.
Right.
And for that, I was, obviously very thankful. But I also decided, since I had caught the entrepreneurial bug when I was pregnant with my second one, and you're going to laugh. I don't know if anybody remembers undercover wear, having home lingerie parties in your living room. And my ex-husband was my roadie because I couldn't lift anything because I was out here. And I would do these presentations, and I grew my team, and I thought, you know what? I really have a head for business. So this is what I want to do. So I had actually left high school 3 credits shy. And I was 3 credits shy. And so I went back to school, got my 3 credits. And then when you've got 2 kids, though, you're thinking, oh my God, daycare bills for a 3-year program, like that's costly. So I decided to accelerate my education by taking my business administration and accounting diploma through Toronto School of Business, which nowadays that would be like Trios, Trillium, kind of college.
Right.
So I did my 3-year college diploma in 10 and a half months.
Wow.
So, well, for 10 and a half months, Dorothy, you have no life. You are in class. Everybody that goes to college now, and they've got spares, and they've got, early days off, and they've got their weekends free to party. Nah, not when you're doing that. It was 8 a.m. to 6 p.m., Monday to Friday, no spares. And evenings and weekends were all about homework and projects. I didn't see my friends or family for those 10 and a half months. But I mean, I finished with a 94 overall, so a 4.0 GPA. And immediately, went into my field, which I was actually recruited, and this was cool, by International Clothiers, one of the biggest clothing conglomerates in North America. And they said, you've got retail experience, and now you've got this business experience. And I actually had a double minor in marketing and HR. So they were like, we need you in one of our stores and make it produce. But as I'm sure a lot of the other listeners have seen or heard or experienced, daycare issues when you're working retail, like it's an issue evenings and weekends to find care. And my ex-husband worked 3 on 3 off, like 12-hour rotating shifts. So he wasn't always there. So I decided, since I had really been enjoying myself volunteering for both Girl Guides of Canada and Scouts Canada. So I was a Brownie and Girl Sparks leader, and I was a Cub leader with a friend of mine. And I thought, you know what? Something that had occurred back in high school. I mean, and now the kids have to do service hours. I had taken a co-op optionally, and I did speech pathology and behavioral management and was coached with one of the best for Durham Board of Ed. And I thought, you know what? I love working with kids, and I've got a head for business. I'm going to solve everybody else's daycare woes, and I'm going to open up my own daycare. And that's how, at the time, it was called Campbell Kids Daycare, because my last name was Campbell, like the soup. Standing joke when I got married was my stepfather's last name was Perrier, like the water. And then I got married and it was Campbell Soup. So I went from Perrier water to Campbell Soup. So I hadn't found yet my Winnie the Pooh obsession. So, everything was decorated in Campbell Kids. And quit my job and started building my business. And I was able to overcome the statistics, which, of course, first of all, a lot of businesses fail in your first 5 years.
Mhm.
Secondly, if you do hang on, you can't scale. You don't know how. You don't know how to market yourself. You don't know how to align yourself with other agencies to help facilitate your business growing. Well, I beat those odds. I ended up moving my daycare from the south end of Oshawa to the north end of Oshawa, and actually kept a few of my clients. They didn't care they had to drive further away.
That's good.
And then I ended up growing the business so much so that even when my ex-husband and I broke it off after 11 years of marriage, 13 years together, I bought him out of the house. And then I ended up keeping that house, but buying another one that was bigger, and rented that one. And I had my bigger house then to have a bigger daycare because I was big and I already had a full-time staff working with me that was running school, school runs and stuff to other surrounding schools. And so I purchased my house, a second one in Oshawa, and built it up into a six-figure income. And I had my business for almost 14 years.
Wow.
So I overcame quite a bit, including, that old song, I fought the law, and
Yeah.
well, one of the challenges about living in Oshawa is their municipal bylaw enforcement. Honestly, pain in my rear. Okay. So they were always infringing on my numbers. They would knock on the door and go, you're over your limit, according to the city of Oshawa. Well, I ended up finding out that I was allowed to have 5 children that were under the age of 5, but it didn't matter how many I had that were 10 years of age and over, according to Ontario provincial law. So I fought the city of Oshawa and I won. So I was just like, you can't tell me what to do. You're the city. This is the province. Like, they're the ones that are dictating down to you, not the other way around.
Right.
So just, I encourage people. It's like, if you're opening a business, take a look at the laws, like, because they actually had a law of only 5 kids on the property and they didn't care how old they were. And I was like, no, that's not it. But eventually, they just start hounding you, and it's all about, well, you got to change the windows, and it's fire codes, and it's everything else, and they just start riding you. But it was the big fall, economic fall. A lot of people know the name General Motors of Canada. Like, who doesn't? You got to be under a rock to not know that company.
Exactly.
Well, it was founded in Oshawa, Ontario. For the years, we were the city that motivates Canada, It's sad. I'm glad they changed that off the billboard. So when they pulled out, it didn't just affect feeder companies like A.G. Simpson, their bumpers, and Lear seating for the seats and the seat belts. It affected companies like mine, because if people lose their jobs, they don't need you to watch their kids.
Right.
So suddenly I found myself going from that 6-figure income to suddenly having to close my doors because could not keep us afloat. And I thought, okay, it's time for a change. This has been a great run, 13 and a half years. And now let's move on to something else. So what do I turn around and do? But I decided to help other people manage their companies. And I walked into one that I knew nothing about. Welding, Dorothy, welding, pipe welding at that. Yeah, welding. Did I know anything at all about pipe welding? No, couldn't tell you the difference between stainless steel to carbon. I didn't. But to me, I just looked at it like, okay, we have supplies, right? We have trucks. We've got mileage logs we need. We've got AP, HR, payroll. You know what I mean? Marketing, advertising, social media. It doesn't matter what the product or the service is. Give it to me and I can market it. And I can do all the back end, admin for it. And when that went south, because it is a very rough industry and some of the people are very rough in it, I made the decision to leave. I said I have a clean criminal record. I wanted to keep it that way. And if I would have stayed, it would have been tarnished. So I left. And I want to talk about the difference between a job and a career. Because I know many have found themselves going, I hate my job. You know what I mean? And there's a lot of mental health issues that come with doing something you absolutely despise. Mm-hmm. And so after 2 years of being stuck in a call center, dialing out for CAA insurance. I walked into my doctor's office, and I've always been a very positive, upbeat person, you know, with a smile on my face. And I said, I'm ready to jump in front of a bus. And my doctor was like, okay, there's a definite problem, you know, but I'd had a career I loved. And now here I am stuck with this headset on, dialing out, going, hi, you know, kind of thing. And anybody that's done, you know, phone work, they can totally relate to that. It's depressing. So it took a lot for me to, and of course the other big thing too, and this is what a lot of people I know can relate to, Dorothy, I used to make 6 figures, and my house and my bills and everything were paid and reflected that. But as soon as you go from making that much money to $12 an hour, something's got to give.
We have a problem.
We have a problem, you know. And it's like, Houston, yep, we have a problem. So we ended up getting financially really behind the 8 ball, you know, because, I mean, just because my income changed didn't mean our bills did on the house and everything else. And we ended up doing a consolidated proposal, and a very generous one, and selling the house and walking away. And so I can really relate to people that have lost, you know, things like that, material things that they've striven for, they've worked for. Blood, sweat, and tears of mine went into renovating that house. I renovated the bathroom, you know, and the basement. Right. You know, it's, you know, and I had a hot tub, like we had it nice, you know, like it was fantastic. And to have to walk away from that was a huge blow to me mentally, emotionally, and it was rough going from living in Oshawa in this lovely 3-bedroom bungalow to moving to Scarborough, renting an apartment, and not knowing anybody except my new in-laws, you know, kind of thing, because I did remarry, right? And even then, you talk about overcoming, blending your family. Oh my jeepers, you know, like I know a lot of people are going, oh, wow, you know, how in the world to manage that? Well, there was lots in between that I skipped over, but I can say that, you know, after I kicked out my ex-husband, to give you a brief synopsis, because I know there's a lot of women out there that want to do it, that you're not happy, that you feel like you're living the life of a single person, because I was making all the decisions, I was running the house, I was running my kids, you know, and my business without really any help from him. And when I felt completely alone, I thought, well, geez, I might as well be alone. Maybe I'll be happier. Maybe I'll find somebody else then eventually when I'm ready for that, that will, you know, share my life with me the way that I need and want it to be. Right. And I did something because I'm not just one to point the finger. It's all his fault. No, it wasn't. It wasn't all his fault, you know. And I thought about it going, yeah, I was a little bossy. Yeah, I wore the pants, you know. Yeah, you know. And then I realized going, well, if all you get is an I don't know and a shrug of the shoulders whenever you ask, you eventually stop asking, right? So, but I thought maybe I was just too much in control of the relationship. So what do I turn around and do? But I swing like a pendulum. And I get with someone for 2.5 years that was completely overtook me as a person, as a woman. I was manipulated with respect to being mentally, emotionally, financially for thousands of dollars, and finally physically abused. And to find yourself in that kind of position and in your own home, you know, and your own kids are watching, it's scary. And, you know, it took me being shaken until I literally peed on the floor to wake me up and go, you need to get the hell out, you know, of this. Yeah. And now I am a Christian, but I'm not Catholic, but I did find out about this wonderful service, and I would recommend it to anybody that's finding themselves in this kind of situation. It's called WAVE, W-A-V-E, and it stands for Women Against Violence Everywhere. And once you get yourself sorted out and the red flags are written down and you get it and you understand the cycle of abuse and that kind of thing, I recommend stage 2, which is called PAV, which is parenting after violence, because your kids have been exposed to this and you need to help them work through some of what they've seen, heard, felt, but also it helps you get back on track as a family unit now without that abusive person living in the household anymore. And so I strongly recommend that. And fast forward, a couple more years, and I thought, I'm ready, to share my life with somebody again. I'm good now. My kids are good. And I signed up for eHarmony. And for the longest time, the running joke was, since I spent $250 to sign up for the whole year, I thought, both feet, I'm jumping in, I'm trying this. If it sucks after 1 year, well, then I can say I've tried. And my husband, he signed in on a free weekend and then paid an extra $25 just to keep talking to me for the next few weeks. So for the longest time, the running joke was I had more invested in the relationship because I had $250, he had 25, until he bought my engagement ring, and then the tables turned as far as the investment commitment. But at the time, you figure when we got together, my kids were 12 and 14, and for a man that had no kids, hadn't ever even left home, that was a lot to take on.
Right.
So God bless him for that, as far as Brett being patient.
All right. I just wanted to give a shout out here to Gabe. Gabe's with us this evening. How are you doing, Gabe? And that's funny that you said that, because I didn't realize just how much we had in common, because I met my husband off Zoosk. Now, I had tried eHarmony. I had tried Christian Mingle. I had tried everything. Apparently, Gabe, yes. And I met mine on Zeus, and I said, okay, because I had already been on every dating site known to man, and I was not getting anywhere fast. I said, okay, I'm signing up for 3 months, and if the right person's on there, God, then I'll find him. If not, that's fine. I met my husband within the first week of being on there. I got off. I knew that he was the one, or I didn't want to talk to anybody else anyway, so I got off. And yeah, he's smart though. He asked for my phone number and kept on texting me instead of paying for the service.
Well, see, that's the funny thing. This is so funny because you're gonna laugh, because yes, I connected with Brett within 3 days of joining eHarmony, and I ended up putting my account on hold. When you meet somebody, and I was scared. I mean, I had 2 kids and a business based on children, way too many pedophiles and whack jobs out there to know where I lived. So we met, at the restaurant kind of thing for our first date, and it was, even then, it wasn't going to be for dinner. It was going to be for cocktails, because how many of us have had an awkward date where we've met someone for dinner and we cannot wait for the check, please, to just have the evening end.
Yep.
So we met for drinks with the idea that if drinks went well, we would stay then for dinner. Well, that night, we not only had drinks, obviously, and dinner, but then we went to another bar where I got up and sang karaoke, because I used to be a karaoke jockey. And so here he is going, okay, wow, this woman's pretty confident, can, get up in front of a room, and she can sing. This is pretty cool, right? So, and because I just felt this connection, I ended up, letting him drive me home, but only to my front porch. But I gotta say, Dorothy, when the chemistry is there, and someone can kiss you for a half an hour and just melt you out of your toes, kind of thing, out of your shoes, that is something really significant. And now we've been now together 14 years. And we will be married for 10 of those come the 15th of this month.
So see, Gabe, it works. 14 years for Catherine and her husband, and Joe and I have been together 4.5 years, and we'll be married 2 years, October 26th. So it works.
It does work. And I mean, it was, so obviously when we got married, my girls were 16 and 18. And, one was going off to college and that kind of thing. And, he has seen me through with when we moved to Scarborough, and I knew that was the plan, because I wanted to be closer to downtown Toronto so that I could pursue administrative office management positions. I knew that's what I wanted to do. And I knew that Toronto was where the opportunities were, not in Durham region. So that's why we moved that way. And eventually I did get my break. I did get to be that executive assistant to that Fortune 500 CEO. helping him and 3 other directors run the company. Was the office manager of 50 employees. I said, I wore so many hats. I'm amazed my hair's not flat or I'm bald at that company. But it was amazing that they were so open-minded and so giving that they didn't put me in an EA box, is what I call it. Like, they took a look at my marketing background and my customer service background, and they were like, you can help us. And I ended up helping to do a rebrand and completely reconfiguring our welcome packages more in line with what their purpose was and who their niche market customer was. Most executive assistants don't get to do that kind of thing. People, they look at my LinkedIn and they go, gosh, you just jump around a lot. You just can't seem to keep a job. I said, no, that's not the case. I'm a victim of unfortunate circumstances, but I refuse to be the victim. That's the big thing. So right. Just when you think you've got life by the horns and things are going great, and I loved my job at where I was, we got word that we were being sold. We were being bought out. We were merging and being acquired by another company. So I played one of 9 people, a very key role in that merger and acquisition, because I was the one that had their AP and all their vendors and stakeholders and everything else all mapped out. When I got my walking papers, and for anybody that's an executive out there, it was the very first time that I'd ever heard being let go without cause due to reconstruction. I'm thinking, did I do something? Did I say something? They were like, the COO said, no, we would not have been able to do half of what we've done in 30 days without you. You know what I mean? So, well, that's great, except for the fact that they already had an executive assistant office manager. So that was me. And I'll be honest, I had my pity party and my cry on the GO train on the way home. I was living in Ajax at the time. Because, and I didn't say this, I want to talk about overcoming. When we had to sell the house, when we had to do that consolidated proposal and we moved to Scarborough, I'd also just been told that my youngest daughter was dropping out of college because she was pregnant. And I'm just like, the hits just keep on coming. So I actually developed.
I thought I was the only one this happened to, but apparently not. See, this is why we share our story, because now we feel alone over here in the corner when the lightning keeps hitting us, but that's not the case.
Nope. And because now, and I attribute this, and I tell Lindsay, she's partially to blame for my migraine condition. So I said that with us having to sell our house, do our proposal, she's pregnant, moving to Peterborough, you know what I mean? To be with the boyfriend and everything else, I thought, oh my God, I just couldn't take it. And I was getting headache after headache, full blown migraines, could barely see. So I ended up, and this was actually before my EA job, I ended up being hospitalized because we thought I had a stroke, because I was actually completely paralyzed on my right side. And after 9 days in the hospital, they finally figured out that I had this condition called atypical migraine, but there's nothing typical about it. It's got all the signs and symptoms of a stroke. And how they knew it wasn't a stroke was there was no black mark on my brain from the MRI, and the CAT scan. So I had to go through 6 months of rehabilitative therapy to build up the strength back in my right arm and my right leg. And I'm right-handed. And so that was a lot to get up and keep going, you know what I mean? And build up that strength again and keep pursuing the dream of, I want to be an EA or office manager. That's what I'm going to do. And so when I landed that job with Masterlock, I was just absolutely thrilled, so happy. And then to be put on a GO train home crying, you're out of a job. But I've never been on EI, and I didn't want to start then. So as soon as I got home, and this is something for all you job seekers out there, if you're not on LinkedIn, get on LinkedIn and start connecting, and you can start with me. I have 8,000 on my connections, lots of recruiters and HR professionals. So I started messaging every single HR professional and recruiter saying, hi, we haven't talked in a while. Here's what happened to me today. I was let go without cause. So here's what I'm looking for. If you or any of your colleagues are looking for someone with my attributes, if you could let me know, I'm happy to give you an updated resume. And of course, I immediately changed my tagline to immediately seeking position as administrator, office manager, executive assistant, And when I was done, Dorothy, my whole first round of connections, because then I maybe only had about 1,500, maybe 2,000 people connected at the time. I then went to my second connections and I started inviting them to connect. And as soon as they would say yes, which of course they're going to see my tagline that I'm a job seeker and that's why I want to connect with them. As soon as they said yes, it was, hi, thanks for connecting. Here's what happened to me today. It was copy, paste, copy, paste, copy, paste, just change the name, right? And you know what's killer? Is on that very first day of me losing my job, I connected with someone from my second circle who ended up calling me about 2.5, 3 hours after we connected, saying, you're not going to believe this. I just got a call from a client and I think you'd be perfect for the job. And him and I talked the very next day in the morning, did like a phone interview, screening kind of thing. He felt comfortable to put me through. And suddenly I have a phone interview the very next day after that with the interim executive director of the National Nursing Assessment Service for all of Canada.
Wow.
And
Gabe wants to connect with you.
Okay. So Raquel and I were like two peas in a pod. We finished each other's sentences. Even during my interview, it was like talking to an old friend. And I started 1 week later. And meanwhile, I was still getting my severance from my other job. So I guess that's called double pokey when you start one job and you still got your severance from another, because literally 2 weeks later after I was let go, I had my new job. And by the way, boys and girls, $10,000 more than what I was making at my last job. So, which was amazing. And I loved it. And I learned so much, because now you're learning about not just, I already had the C-suite stuff. Now I'm learning about governance and board structures and subcommittees and strategic planning, because we were changing from the old governance Carver model to a new progressive style. And I had organized fundraisers and events for like Cancer Society, Skids Canada, and other, big wigs like that over the years, different PR events. But I had never done a conference with 150 to 180 people, flying them all in, trying to source out hotels and AV equipment and food and you name it. I mean, and these women had so many dietary restrictions. I had to have a color-coded Excel spreadsheet, purple for pescatarian, green for vegetarian, jeepers. And how can you have Italian food, Dorothy, without onion and garlic in it? I'd like to know. Okay. I just love looking at your face like, what? Honestly. But it was a blast. And, I started there in May of 2017, and come February of 2018, my boss was let go. And here I am in the middle of a conference, and I had to step in her shoes with the board and all these and the governance coach and the strategic planning coach and everything else, and even corral them all into cabs for our offsite dinner and everything. So suddenly I'm having to overcome this huge challenge of going from just being the EA to the ED, of suddenly stepping into the ED shoes and having to now allocate, okay, communications, now you're taking minutes for me, and you're taking my part of my job, so I've got her job. So, and board said I did a great job, didn't even break a sweat. So, and I stayed on there. And then suddenly when the new ED was announced, and I know that others can relate to this too, you find out you're losing your job. How many of you have actually just sat there and cried? I was in the midst of doing the minutes to the AGM, our annual general meeting, when the board announced that the Toronto office was closing, the new executive director was in BC, and that's where the headquarters were going to be now. So that's how I was told I wasn't having my contract renewed. I had been offered a contract with someone that had an MBA from Queen's, smart guy, but wanted to start a nonprofit because he was doing something pro bono in Ottawa, but he wanted it on a national scale, but had no idea about the nonprofit side of things. So I worked with him for 6 months to get his organization up and off the ground. And but I mean, when you're bootstrapping it, using your RRSPs, like eventually he ran out of money and took it over. And so there I am on the unemployment line again. And a couple of months later, finally found something. I was the executive sales and events director for The Edge, which is a leaders magazine. And so I was helping with PR events for them and helping with sales training, and as well as doing sales myself and acquiring large companies that would take out ads then in the magazine. But I mean, let's be honest, digital is the way to go. Print is dying. So they were in financial difficulty and ended up laying me and half the staff off. So there I am, searching the unemployment line again, having to dust myself off, pick myself back up. And, did a couple of tempy, EA jobs in the fall of 2019, and then lost my job basically like 2 months in. It wasn't a good fit personality wise. We knew that from the beginning, but we thought, what the hell, give it a try anyway. And sometimes that's just the case. You're just, we're still friends. We're still on Instagram. And I got to be honest with you, she's the one that told me she felt I should open up my own business, that I could help. She said, you're so knowledgeable. I feel that you could help so many different types of business owners in so many different areas, like you have me. She said, I really think that's what you need to do. So I had already committed to moving to where her office was in Ajax. So now I find myself moving again and having no job. So as I'm applying to EA positions and office manager positions and everything, in March of 2020, of course, that's when the pandemic hit and we're all in lockdown and everybody is not hiring anymore. Hiring freezes. Sorry, we're not hiring for that anymore. And I thought, okay, it's time to put my entrepreneur hat back on, back from my daycare days, and buy Salas and undercoverware and everything else I've over the years been involved in. And let's service some small business owners that can't afford that $50,000 or $60,000 assistant, and that help every year. So that's what I've been doing ever since, and showing people that in their business, it's not good for them to even try and wear all the hats.
Right. And if you've been listening to Catherine's story, okay, so there's 3 things that keep coming to mind. Perseverance. Like if you don't have a job and you have a LinkedIn profile, there should be no reason why, especially right now when everybody and their brother is hiring, that you don't have a job. You just are not applying yourself. Number 1 is what I'm hearing. Number 2, definitely networking is key. Because that's how you were able to get so many different positions. And for employers that look at your resume and think, okay, well, this person's jumped here, there, and everywhere, there are reasons, and you should never just assume anything, because I too have, I've been in bookkeeping for 20 some odd years, but different circumstances have led me, like meeting my husband. I left 2 of my part-time jobs to follow my husband. So yeah, within a span of a little bit of time, I had changed jobs, but there's always reasons for that, right? So I think employers should definitely take a look at that. Now I know I've been in not arguments, but debates with some people higher up in companies, and well, that just doesn't look good. Well, you should really get to learn to know your people, because you could be giving up one of the best people that is more suited for you than somebody with all the credentials but has, like, I don't know, what's the word I'm trying to looking for, the personality of a brick.
Yep. And not only that, I mean, and for those of you that went, well, good for her, she started a business. Well, here's the thing. Starting a business isn't easy. And you find yourself, especially when you don't have clients, which means you don't have an income, it takes a lot of perseverance. It takes a lot of trust. And obviously my husband had to trust me that this is gonna work. And it took us running up our credit cards. It was using credit to pay for hydro, to pay for groceries, to pay for our cell phones and everything while I tried to build this business. And when we still didn't have really much clients by September after starting in March, He said to me, honey, I know you're going to be able to do this, but is there any way that you can potentially work for someone else, even remotely, just for a little while you're building up the business so that we have an income because our credit cards are ready to crack, you know? And so I did that. And that's what led me to, again, that executive assistant role to a very large, they were one of the top 5 private lenders in the country for CMI mortgage investments. And I was there for 6 months as the right hand to their COO and executive vice president. And then they switched me into more of an HR coordinator role because the company was expanding exponentially and they couldn't keep up. And they needed someone. And I had that knowing how to post Indeed and LinkedIn ads, already knowing how to pre-screen, how to do that first round interview, and how to be that bridge between the potential new employee and the onboarding, of that new employee for the greater good of the company. And I did that for just shy of 6 months. And ended up hiring myself out of a job because they ended up hiring a full-time HR manager that had the one thing that I didn't, which was her CHRP certification. And, we weren't getting along. She was only there 3 weeks, and suddenly I got walking papers. But you know what? Again, I did not hit the employment line. Instead, I went to 4 selling on the spot marketplace events in 2 weeks with a killer offer of $99 off any package and signed 9 clients. So it was just like, this is my kick in the butt to get this business really going because I don't have a choice because that paycheck's not coming anymore, So I dusted myself off from CMI letting me go and thought, okay, let's go. It was so crazy busy over the summer that I didn't even able to get my vacation. We had to install internet at the family cottage so that I could still work weekends at the cottage, but at least I had a lake view, while I'm working. And my vacation of 10 days, I think I went swimming twice and do an afternoon matinee once. During my vacation. Don't ask my husband about it. He gets really green and angry because he just looked at me and went, we could have stayed in Scarborough. I could have worked, because we didn't really have time to do anything together because I was so busy. But I was blessed that my clients needed me and I was able to help them. And now we've been able to grow this amazing team of joint venture partners and be like this umbrella of like a one-stop shop for business owners. So, when I started, I thought I need all my social pages. Well, I know how to build those, so I built all those. I need a website. Well, I had done GoDaddy, Site 123, and years ago Yahoo Site Builder for my daycare. So I felt pretty confident, that I could build the website. I even figured out Wufoo to build a custom A-frame and Zapier to get all the apps talk to each other on the back end, right? So I felt pretty good. I didn't know this WordPress thing, but it couldn't be that hard, right? Okay. Many glasses of wine later and many tears later, and me smashing my head off a keyboard, I thought, I can't do this. What a waste of time. 10 hours of myself literally crying and drinking and, just banging my head off a keyboard. So I got my best friend of 30 years to build my website for me. She used to work for TD Bank and their internet systems to keep them online. So I figured she can keep me online. And I offered her an 80-20 split of anybody that wants their websites done. She said, yeah, go for it. So she was my first partner. You'd think my husband would be, but no. My second acquisition was my youngest daughter, Lindsay. She's the one who always was an artistic kid. She graduated from high school with a visual arts diploma, not just her OSSD. And it didn't matter for that kid whether you give her mud, charcoal, paint, flowers, cakes. She does it all. Look at my wedding album, see all the centerpieces and the pubos and everything. Lindsay did them. And so now she's our Canva whiz kid. So she designed our logo, all of our banners, and she does all of our graphics now for all of our clients for their social media. And then I asked my husband if he would join the team because Brett has 15 years of advertising and marketing experience for McLaren McCann and Ben Simon Byrne, doing all of their big campaigns for Coca-Cola and Hyundai, Maybelline and Bank of America. So I figured he's definitely qualified to help small business owners with their marketing needs and strategies. But thanks to selling on the spot marketplace, we've actually now added 7 other people to the team. That I now have someone that's a podcasting coach. I have a digital strategist. I have somebody that does computer support and can actually wire in and fix your laptop. I've got another web designer. I've got somebody that writes blogs. I've got someone that creates videos for amazing content. And I'm just so happy to have met these people. I've got one that does funnels and marketing pages. She says MailChimp and Infusionsoft is her jam. I said, let her have it, girl, because I'm not that kind of VA. So it's just amazing, this camaraderie now of this team that we've built, so that people can stop wearing all the hats in their business. Because if they're honest with themselves, not all hats look good on you. Not all of them do you want to wear. And there are some we really find ugly. We'd rather just shove in the back of a closet somewhere and, shut the door and just bury it. So that's what we set out to do.
And that is so amazing, because like you said, there are several things in my business that I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't know how to do this. I hate doing it. And that's why people like you are in business, and, to pick those things up. Tell us more about the selling on the spot.
I thought this was, I don't know how many of you have experienced this that have your own business, that when you go into a networking event, it's just about networking. It's schmoozing, it's hobnobbing, it's exchanging of business cards and smiles or digital cards and stuff like that, right? And maybe you connect with someone that might remember you, and then hopefully remember your name and your link and give you that referral, maybe, right? But God forbid you actually try and do business in any of these networking groups, you get booted. Take it from me, I've been booted from a few groups now, because dared that I, actually did try to do any business. So when I was invited to selling on the spot marketplace, I thought, this is interesting. I get 2 minutes to talk about my business. I'd been invited to a couple BNI meetings when I was with The Edge, a Leaders magazine. So I already knew how to do the 60-second elevator pitch. So it's SOTSM, you get 2 minutes. So I thought, okay, so I'm just going to go network. Well, what I love about it is it's not just networking, it's selling, because you're making an offer right there on the spot to the rest of the business owners that are there. So for me, I said, well, I'm offering a free 30-minute consultation and $99 off any package. Give me a hashtag CLExec in the chat and let's chat. So it was great because you're networking and you're still building that know, like, and trust factor. But in my case, because I'm a service-based business, I can offer a free consult, I can offer a discount on my services, right? But other people that even sell things like Tupperware, lashes, Color Street nails, they're coming to these as well. And they can make deals right on the spot. Like, people are saying yes to those offers, and those people are sending e-transfers and PayPal requests later. You make money on the spot. People are making bookings on the spot. And so I loved it so much, and it was such a success for me, for my business, that I became a licensee. I actually bought a franchise, bought a license to do it. So that's why I personally facilitate selling on the spot marketplace events. So my next one's coming up on Tuesday, the 26th of this month, from 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. EST. So it's a lot of fun. And of course, I love sponsoring. So even though I love facilitating these events, and everybody has said, even Jane Ward, who's our CEO and founder, said that she calls me the comic relief, selling on the spot licensee, because I'm always the one that's cracking jokes. She said some of our events she thinks she's going to have to censor, but she is compiling a blooper reel, and I'm sure I'll be a lot on that blooper reel. But I said, I take business very seriously, but there are some circumstances that you can still have a little fun while you're doing it. And so I find that a lot of business owners want to gravitate to coming to my events, but I love sponsoring events. So for other licensees, because then you get 3 minutes, you get to share your screen, and you also get a complimentary ticket that you can gift to someone else that's never been to one. So it costs a little more, but you get a little more, and you get more social media shout outs and that kind of thing before and after that make it worthwhile to be a sponsor. And so even now, I still love sponsoring for my fellow licensees and being able to zip through my PowerPoint in 2.5 minutes before taking 30 seconds to do my ask. And I've generated a lot of business from those events.
Definitely something that everybody listening that's in business wants to get a hold of. I know I haven't been to one yet. I've been what's invited, but then my world kind of crashed for a month, and now I'm back, starting slowly to get back into the swing of things. So I definitely, the 26th is my anniversary.
All right, maybe the next one in November then.
Maybe. I'm like, it has to be the 26th, right? Like everything falls on a day that. Oh well.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. My husband wants to go to Montreal for our anniversary. I'm like, I don't know about that. We'll see.
Yeah. No, as I said, I've met amazing business owners. I've made a lot of connections. I've made these JV partnerships with other small business owners that, we're helping each other grow our businesses. So where they mention me, I mention them. They're on my PowerPoint. They're up on my website. You know what I mean? So people have access to them, to their LinkedIn profiles and that kind of thing. And it's really, just another community. And the cool part is that after you go to one of these events, you're then invited to become a member of our private Facebook community. Now, we've got over 2,000 business owners in there, and we are global. So we've got licensees in Canada, the US, India, Denmark, and Iceland.
Wow.
So if anybody is interested in cracking into the European markets or anything like that, we've definitely got events that are happening from all over. We just say if you're actually shipping goods, then just mind the border, like any issues and costing and that kind of thing. But if you're offering services like mine, I'm open to all, so, we're able to accommodate anybody no matter where you live in your time zone. But it's fantastic that, and it's through SOTSM that I actually got to meet Forbes Riley, who is the queen of pitch. That woman has sold a couple $2 billion in front of a camera. For anybody that's used to watching any home shopping networks or any kind of thing like that, she's very well known. And it's because of her that I got the opportunity to be a co-author in the One Habit book.
Wow.
And well, that's her picture on the back of that. That's Forbes Riley. Okay. And so I actually did an amazing media training that was offered through Selling on the Spot Marketplace, where Forbes has actually joined forces with Jane of SOTSM. And I did this amazing, life-changing media course with them that I had some breakthroughs of some things that were really holding me back personally, that no matter what you might think, your personality really does affect your business. You are your business. Everybody says, I'm the face of CL Executive. When you've got stuff holding you back, your feet are in cement somewhere and you can't move forward, they really helped me get past that and then be much more comfortable to show up and in front of a camera, talk to my potential customers, to build up that know, like, and trust factor. And a lot of people are scared to death about getting in front of a camera. And I just found it to be life-changing on both a personal and a business level, and definitely worth the time, effort, and money to do it. It was amazing working with her, and I'm very thankful that, because of her, I got to write in this book, and we went international bestseller in 5 countries. So top 10 on Amazon in Canada, the US, the UK, Mexico, and Australia.
Wow.
And yes, so that was very exciting. And so if you are a business owner and you're wondering how in the world you're going to get past this in the pandemic and you want some tips, it's called One Habit to Thrive in a Post-COVID World. And we actually just lost the other co-author, Steve Sambly, just last month to COVID-19. And which was heartbreaking for all of us, who he was a big part of us being published. And just really sad. And we don't know what's going to now happen with the other One Habit books that were in the queue, because he'd asked me to write another one. So I'm page 80, I'm chapter 88. And the affirmations were about my mother and about not giving up. So yeah, and so I'm looking forward now to the next chapter, probably writing my own. I have a couple of them that I've started sketching out. So because I think that there's a lot of people out there that can relate to just so much that has happened. You know, we only just touched on, you know, some of the chapters, some of the high points, but as I said, there's so many people that have dealt with loss, with alcoholism, with premarital sex, with rape, with drugs, with abuse, you know, and I can say that I've pretty much run the gauntlet of it all and feel like I've definitely come out on the other side. Faith has a huge one to do with that. You know, another thing I was made fun of in high school for, you know, 17, I'm a Sunday school teacher. Too bad, you know, but
and the one person that shouldn't have.
No, it's very important to me. It's not something I rammed down anybody's throat. It's not something that I, you know, widely publicize. I think that everybody is entitled to believe in what they feel is right for them. You know, for me, this is it. But
I'm 100% agree with you on that. And that's why everything that I do is based with faith and courage. And Catherine, you are definitely an unstoppable overcomer for sure. I just want to thank you so much for sharing your story, and what an amazing story it's been. And I'm so blessed to have gotten to know you and re-listen to some of your stories that we had talked about before, because I truly don't know where my other notes were from the other meeting, but I was just like, oh my gosh, you know, you're definitely an amazing person. And if you don't know Catherine, definitely connect with her on LinkedIn. She's also on Facebook as well. And in the show notes is where you can, I also put her website as well in the show notes. So definitely, if you don't know her, connect with her. She's an amazing woman. Definitely, you know, if you need one of those hats that you're tired of wearing in your business, connect with her.
Many hats.
The many hats. She does this whole program that it's absolutely amazing. But we're over time, but that's okay. But you really got to listen to her presentation. Okay. Do you want to do the presentation?
I can do it.
I'll do it. All
right. I will do it. Okay.
It's a great presentation.
Okay, guys. So you're a business owner. You get up in the morning, and we all do this. You grab your cup of coffee, you grab your cell phone, and you scroll through Facebook. Some of us don't even need the coffee. Our feet haven't even hit the floor. We're still in bed, and we're scrolling through Facebook. So you're scrolling, you come across a post in one of your many networking groups, and you say, okay, this connects with me. This resonates. I'm going to partake of this and leave a comment and engage. So you're going to put your engagement hat on. So as you're going through this and you're leaving your little commentary, you're thinking to yourself, my God, when was the last time that I actually did any marketing for my business? So now you decide then that you're going to come up with your own post. So you're going to be putting now your social media hat on. Now, the problem with this is that as you're really working through this, you're realizing you've got gold here. These are nuggets of opportunity, and you actually want to put this now as an advertisement. You're going to sponsor this post. So now, though, you're going to have a little problem, because you're going to have to put your accounting hat on, because you're going to have that receipt to deal with. And as the inquiries start coming in and people are messaging you and they're emailing you and they're calling you and your phone is ringing off the hook, your email is going nuts, you're going to have to put your administration hat on. And you're also going to have to now put your customer service hat on, because you're fielding all these questions, you're booking into your calendar, and you're fielding all these calls. And really what you wanted to focus on was your CEO hat. So here you are with all these hats piled on top of your head. You've got all these people coming out of the woodwork, and you get busy. Well, now you realize, wait a minute, I need to hire somebody. So now you better put your HR hat on. So, and I've run out of hats, because I'm sure that person's going to want to be paid. So now you better add payroll to that. And the problem is that with you sitting with all these hats on your head, they eventually start to teeter and they start to fall. And these are the pitfalls in your business. So what you need to do is just figure out your CEO hat and wear that one best and outsource the rest and come talk to me.
I love that. So if you need any of those hats, connect with Catherine. She's an amazing woman. You won't be disappointed. Thank you to everybody that has watched tonight. And Catherine, is there any one last final thought that you'd like to leave with our amazing audience tonight?
Believe in yourself, because without it, no one else will. We like to play the blame game about our lives and play the victim in our lives. But really, you've only got one life and it's yours. So don't let outside forces, outside intimidators, outside pressures wear you down. You believe in you, and you can get up and dust yourself off and keep going forward. And logic will get you from A to B. Imagination will get you anywhere. So just believe in yourself and just keep moving forward.
I love that. And if you don't believe in you, we believe in you. So keep going. Get back up and keep going.
Definitely.
Everybody have a great night, and we'll see you next week. Is Thanksgiving Monday, so for us here in Canada. So I will put up a link where you can go back to another amazing episode. But I'm spending it with my family, so we'll reconnect back on the 18th. Yes, normally I would have just gone ahead and did it, but I'm coming back to, when I say families first, I'm meaning families first, and I'm putting my family first. So that's what we're doing. So with that, have an amazing Monday night, and see you all on the 18th. Bye for now.